Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back in War Thunder, and this time we're having a look in the files of the dev server. This is always fun because we can see some content that isn't fully on the dev server yet, and also kind of just have a bit of a roundup of what's been going on. Obviously today we've published a lot of the videos of the major changes in the dev server, and over the next day or so we'll publish all the ones about the individual vehicles, which will be pretty fun too, and also any of the changes that come in. One of the things that I do want to say is, of course, when it comes to dev server stuff, it's all subject to change, and many of these different things will probably change as it goes along, and I'll make sure to make videos on it for all of you. So let's get into all of the stuff that's in the files that isn't really in the dev server, or changes to stuff that were there previously. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get into it. First of all, we have this. This is the Core 2, or you may know it as the Beriev BE4. This is a hydroplane that is coming in for the Russians. But this is another one of the vehicles which is similar to other ones that you see when it comes to naval forces, where they're not actually going to come to the actual tech tree. Instead, they're just going to be hydroplanes. Stuff like the Walrus, for example, is in a similar position. So this vehicle is probably not going to make it to a standard tech tree. Instead, it's just going to be sat on some of the vehicles. Now, the Core 2 was actually used quite a bit during the Second World War by the Russians. It basically was used on stuff like the Maxim Gorky and also the Kirov, which are both vehicles that we have in the game. You can see that it does have a backwards firing little tail gun here, which is kind of fun. This is a 7.62mm Shikaz, and also technically it could carry some bombs and ordnance, which is why you can see these rails right here, which seem to have bombs and then maybe also rockets or maybe depth charges at some point whenever they decide to actually add those to the game. The other thing to also mention is this vehicle only goes 356 kilometers an hour, and it doesn't have like a fully modeled cockpit or anything like that, because, you know, it's once again just a plane that's going to be fired off a cruiser, and then you're basically going to use it. So let's have a look at a few other things that are also in. One of the things I do want to talk about is the good old CM502. So if you don't know what the CM502 is, this is a new fire and forget missile that is coming in for the Chinese. You can see it right here. This is basically how it looks, and we had a look at it on the dev server, right? This is actually going to be a really powerful one. You can see here, this is a slightly different version of it. This is the one where it's on the rails, so that's kind of how it's set up. Before, in the dev server files last time, I believe there was two variants of the CM52, and basically one was just a much more longer range one, kind of the cruise missile setup. But this one is, or it seems to be, the more kind of like quintessential one that they're adding to the Chinese tech tree. It's on the dev server right now, and it also replaced the other two versions that were in the files. So if you are looking for your kind of designated one, this is what it's going to be. Another thing to also talk about is the good old Rostal, which is coming in too. I thought it would be nice just to have a look at the model if you didn't see it in the video earlier, where we talked about the Focke-Wulf 190 F8, which is going to have access to this. This is not finished, by the way. It's, especially when it comes to the game, it basically acts like an AIM-9B on steroids, which obviously it shouldn't. But it's just really cool that they're actually bringing this stuff in. And nice to see that they're continuing to add all of the weird and wonderful kind of odd prototype stuff from the Second World War. And hopefully they add more of them. I thought they were going to make it an event vehicle, or maybe like a World War II anniversary vehicle. But instead, it just seems to be on the F8 right now, which is a little bit weird. Another thing that's also coming in that isn't on the dev server is a new kind of guided glided bomb. So you have this one. This is known as the KGGB. Now, that that is very similar to another acronym that you may know, but no, it isn't to do with the KGB. This one is actually a Korean GPS guided bomb. This coming in, it's developed by the Republic of Korea, basically South Korea, and this is used by a bunch of different air forces. So don't get your hopes up in terms of it coming into the game. I love it how it says "do not touch." This, even though it's developed by South Korea and it's used by South Korea, it's also used by Saudi Arabia and it's used by Thailand. So this is probably going to be a new glided bomb that's going to come in for some of the high echelon Thai vehicles that are in. You can see this little kind of cool detail here. So yeah, it looks like some of the high tier Thai stuff is going to get some glide bombs, just like a lot of other nations that are around. Basically, when it comes to this, it is a kind of, well, fire and forget setup. It's a guided glide bomb, right? So it has like the standard guidance system that a lot of the other ones have. It uses GPS, so in game it will be a GNSS bomb, and you'll be able to annihilate AI targets very easily, or stationary targets if you just want to lob them into spawns. The bomb itself isn't very big here, but maybe it can be manufactured to be able to fit different stuff, which would be kind of interesting. So yeah, the other thing that's also kind of interesting about this is there are some other countries that are looking at purchasing this, including Colombia. And since we have the Colombian kafir in the game, maybe that's another vehicle that could get access to this. One of the other things that's kind of funny to mention is, for some reason, the UFO stuff is back. So maybe they're planning to bring back that stuff. If you didn't know, the UFO stuff, so you can see here. Oh, don't break on me. Sorry, it's gonna make some awful noises. My apologies. But basically, with the there we go. There was an April Fool's event, which was back in the day, and basically what it was a UFO event. So the UFOs had shields, they had lasers, and you basically played on the sunken city map, which you can only find in Naval right now. But for some reason, you have all the UFO stuff kind of updated and back in the files now. So maybe they're going to do an event again around it, and you can see all these little like floating balls as well, which come along with it. But yeah, look forward to more aliens coming in and being able to play. Another thing I also want to mention, because I was reading the data mines from Zabi a bit earlier, it seems like they're adding in more kind of UAV capabilities and also drone capabilities. So this one is just the quadcopter. I'm pretty sure it's already in the game. It has a bunch of animations on it. You know, it was part of the QN506 event. And then you obviously have a few of the other UAV stuff, right? Like the Scout drone, then the Scout drone 360, and then also you have stuff like the Orion, for example, which of course is one of the drones that you can use at the higher echelons of the game. But the interesting thing is they seem to be adding just more and more different things for drones in general. And if you remember, there was like a leak about a year ago where they actually talked about the idea that, maybe they'll bring in a bunch of kind of these drone things in different ways. Obviously, drones are quite an integral part of warfare at the moment, especially in the active battlefields like Ukraine, for example. And so to see an expansion of them wouldn't really be too surprising. Another piece as well to have a look at, which is still here in the files, by the way, and still hasn't left. You know how they added the good old VT5, which is this one right here. We actually spaded it recently. It's a light tank for China, and it's designed for export, but you may have watched the parade recently, the Chinese parade, and they show kind of the Type 100, which looked kind of like an upgrade of this vehicle with a bunch of different parts to it. But there's one that's sat in the files, which has been here for ages, and it's the Uparmored VT5. This still hasn't made it to the game. It still isn't on the dev server, but it's still just kind of sat here. There's also been a bunch of other vehicles that have been like this over time. The STRV 103B, I remember, was one of those, which it just never made it to the game. Also, the Bergeslieri SPG from the Italians was another one, but this one just has some extra armor. You can see the slat armor on the back of it. You can see the chemical protection on the side, and then also a bit of protection on the lower glacis too, and also the turret. So either this is going to be an upgrade to the VT5, or eventually this will be like an event vehicle or something, or just in the standard tech tree, or maybe even a premium. But it's literally an independent vehicle in the files, which seems really odd. So that's all the stuff in the files for now. We'll have a chat about other things that may turn up as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.